G'day everyone, it's Warren here from NQ Explorers. Today we're going to look at some of the advanced settings on the all-new Garrett Axiom Ultra Pulse prospecting metal detector. So what we're going to look at is some of the advanced features on the selectable menu items that maximise your chances of finding gold with this machine. The first advanced feature we'll look at is pulse timing. Okay, your pulse timings. These will depend on what you're looking for in the ground you're working. So you first press the menu button, you go into a mode, and you have options for fine, normal, large, and salt. So your fine gold timings, adjust your pulse timings to the shortest delay. Therefore you're looking for very small targets with a swift decay of the return signal, such as very tiny gold. Normal, larger targets, large deep targets where your pulse timing is delayed somewhat, and then salt where the pulse timing accounts for saline content in the soil, such as any areas in Australian bush where you do get saline contents, and of course your WA salt lake situation. Now what you do is run those timings according to where you're detecting, obviously. The default when you do a factory reset is fine gold timing. That's what I run most of the time. In the fine gold timings, you're going to hit the small gold if you've got the smaller coils on, obviously, and you won't miss any deep large targets. Now if you get into deep ground, by that where I mean the gold is deep and the bottom's at quite a depth from where your ground level is, such as where your bedrock's at quite a bit of depth and that's where the gold's going to be down there, or in a cemented clay that's at depth, depends where your gold deposition is, and that really comes from your research of the area that you're prospecting and experience, of course. So you'll know when you're in an area where the gold's deposited generally, and what sort of timings to set your machine in based on the ground conditions. So if you want to go into reasonably deep ground looking for larger gold, you could put it on normal or large, saline content, salt lake situation in WA, set it to the salt timings. The second advanced feature we'll look at is swing speed. Next menu item we're going to look at to maximise your chances on gold is speed. Now this is a kind of a hybrid swing speed / target separation setting. So if you're belting around at some speed with a larger coil, trying to cover a bit of ground, you might set your speed to a quicker speed settings. If you're working a patch or you're just small coil, shallow gold, and the targets are close together, will you slow your swing speed down and set it on slow. So once again, it's just a matter of hitting the menu access, scroll through your menu items. They've actually got a box around them to tell you what you're controlling. Once you get to speed, get the up and down arrows to control it. So you've got slow, medium, and fast. The third advanced feature we'll look at is ground tracking. When you do a factory reset, the ground tracking defaults to off. Personally, I would leave ground tracking off at all times anyway. Ground tracking is designed to adjust to mineralisation as you move through the bush, so if you find that you've got an increasing or decreasing ground balance, you can dial in a little bit of tracking, and that'll compensate as you go and keep the machine quiet. Personally, I leave the tracking off and re-ground balance every now and then, because you find that with a pulse machine, in noisy ground and variable ground, and this is quite the case here, you get a lot of hot and cold spots here and a lot of hot rocks, I'd rather just keep ground balancing, but that's a personal preference. But theoretically, if you dial in any tracking, you do sacrifice a little bit of sensitivity and depth as you're moving through the bush. But if you find that you're troubled by a lot of variation in the ground balance, you can put in some tracking, slow, medium or fast tracking, and once you do that, once you set the tracking, you'll get a little arrow display next to the digital upper and lower readouts on the screen in Axiom, which will show whether your ground balance is trending upwards or downwards or neutral. If it's neutral, turn your tracking off. If you're trending up or down, leave a little bit of tracking in if you feel comfortable with that. Once you start hitting targets, or you might come into a little patch, turn your tracking off. Well, I hope you found those few advanced settings informative on the new Garrett Ultra Pulse Axiom metal detector. All these settings are variable and they can always be reset to factory if you get a little bit confused about how you're going and how you've set it up. What I like to do every morning, I do a frequency scan, factory reset, and then set the machine up how you like. Having said that, whenever you turn the machine off and repower it, it'll always remember what your last settings were. So there's lots of variations and options there to maximise your chances of finding gold. Thanks for watching, and happy fossicking. Bye for now.